and we're on the range, and I walk by a bunch of the Penn State kids, and I'm just, I'm eavesdropping a little bit, and I hear one guy talking to the other guy saying, "They can't possibly make us play today. This weather is ridiculous." Da, 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 and I'm listening to that, and I walk over to my guys, and I'm like, bang, like, we got this.
But I believe the great is still yet to come. I won't stop fighting, man, until I'm done.
Good morning. Welcome to the 26th Breakfast Ball. I guess that makes it a half a year, right?
26?
Yeah, because 52 weeks in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was so confused. I was like, wait, what?
It's okay. No big deal.
Too early, Bob. Too early to confuse me.
I am confusing. Anyway, shout out to my New York Knicks. I mean, I don't know how almost every starter got hurt in the playoffs, but okay. At least I had something to watch this year, which has been better than, the past 20 years. A couple quick things. If you get something out of this podcast, remember, when you're rich and famous, we get 10%. Just never forget that, because we need to retire at some point.
I'm getting old.
I'm
getting old.
I see a thing and I don't get old, but that's okay. Yeah, you can get old if you want. I'm not doing that. Starbucks gift card. Again, same thing this week. The first person that responds, "I love the breakfast ball," gets a Starbucks gift card. Who won this week?
Bob Ryan. I believe it was.
Bob Ryan, yeah. So your gift card is going out later today, Bob Ryan. So congratulations. Again, if you write "I love the breakfast ball," you're getting a Starbucks gift card. And if you like what we're doing, please subscribe. We need as many subscribers as we can. And our merchandise website is up every other week. So I know one person went during the down week and it took them a couple weeks to get the merchandise. But I know I've also seen multiple shirts out there for the breakfast ball. So if you can do that, by all means, we'd love to see you out there with our stuff on. Anyway, today is championships are not won on sunny days. We use golf as a metaphor for life all the time. Like this show is a podcast about performance psychology with obviously the heavy backbone in golf. And I've heard this quote before, and I love it. And I'm going to tie life and golf together today in a pretty cool kind of way. But basically, it says, don't tell your problems to everyone else. 80% of all people just don't care, and the other 20% are happy it's happening to you. So, by nature, I can tell you, and Richie knows this, and Richie's a lot the same way, to be honest with you. Oh, by the way, I didn't introduce us, did I? I'm Bob Cardia, your host, and to my left, your far right,
the dashing Richie Stoltz.
Anyway, so with that said, I am, just because I coach for life, that's what I've done. My father, in addition to having his doctorate and being a motivational speaker, was also a coach. He coached, I think he started off when he was very young as a head high school football coach and wrestling coach, and he coached all my teams known to man. So I always feel, especially when it's somebody I care about, I try my bestest to give and give. But you're going to find, right? You're going to find in life that if they don't have that spark, if they don't see the bigger picture, that it's almost impossible to change somebody's behavior. So rather than you throwing all your pennies into that bucket, at some point you have to change the way that you react. Right? You have to be a better version of yourself. And I guess what I'm saying. And it's another quote that I think I used on a short, but at some point, you have to stop looking for the good in somebody and find good people. So stop looking for the good and take the time to find good people. So now, how does that go back to life, Richie, right? Let's talk about that for a second.
That's a good question.
It was a great question, right? 'Cause I sit back and obviously I've been thinking a lot about this topic because, in my core, I like, to feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives. But at some point, you have to make them accountable for who they are and what they are. So I thought about our 2019 conference championship.
That was a good one.
It was a great one.
That was a good one.
Yeah, man.
I was involved in that one.
You were involved in that one. That's what's even greater.
I know.
So I am notorious, infamous, whatever, for saying, I used to get the phone calls, Coach, are we playing today? It's supposed to rain. It's going to be cold out. It's going to be windy out. And my standard line to all my guys was, championships are not won on sunny days, right? So let's go back to 2019, right? So now we lost to Penn State every time we played them that year. So we played them 3 previous times. We lost. Conference championship goes out to a bidding process. So, every few years, they go out to bids, and it just so happened Penn State had their home tournament the conference championship was at their golf course. So, not looking good for us at that point, right? No, not looking good for us. So, I set up a practice round for our team, and we went up, I guess, the week before the conference championship, and
it was the worst that day too, because you would think during a practice round you would want to see the conditions you would play in the tournament, but unfortunately that practice round day, I mean the wind was, it felt like you were in a hurricane. The wind was howling. Nobody wanted to go play. I mean, clubs were going 30, 40 yards shorter, and we're all sitting there going,
do you remember how we stopped?
What?
Do you remember why we stopped?
We stopped because the balls were blowing
off the green. If you've never seen that before, we were on the 16th hole and it just got ridiculous. The balls were blowing off the putting green. It was gale force. Yeah.
So we were all aggravated because we just want to see the golf course and the tournament conditions we're going to see later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. No. Hey. So lo and behold, we show up the next week, and the practice round day was actually not that bad, but the actual tournament day was a carbon copy of the week before. It was ridiculous. And we're on the range, and I walk by a bunch of the Penn State kids, and I'm just, I'm eavesdropping a little bit. And I hear one guy talking to the other guy saying, they can't possibly make us play today. This weather is ridiculous. And I'm listening to that, and I walk over to my guys, and I'm like, bang. We got this. Because we play in everything. We play in snow. We play in rain. We play in every possible scenario other than lightning. Okay, I'm not that. I made Richie walk out with a tinfoil suit on. No. And we went out, and I can't remember the exact number, but after day one, we were up by 17 strokes.
We were up by 19.
19 strokes, 19. Yeah. And we never looked back, and we ended up winning the conference championship. And, there's several pivotal moments in my coaching career that I made decisions that I thought, wow, that was cool. Yeah. There's been somewhere I made that's probably not the best idea, but that was cool. So now I'm writing this podcast yesterday and the day before, and I say to myself, damn it, Bobby, this is a great metaphor for life. I mean, in order to get to where you need to be, championships are not won on sunny days. So, I know if experiences don't kill you, if experiences don't turn you into a negative Nancy, they're going to make you stronger. I had a good friend who, she used to talk about the struggle is real. Yeah, damn right it's real. But you know what? If you want to be that rock star, right, you need to frickin' fight through to the other side. There's no easy way through it. That's so, in golf and in life, and we were just discussing something before the podcast, and I'm not going to use names to protect the innocent, but I don't understand the mentality of it's too hard, I'm going to give up. If it's something that's really going to add value to your life, then go do it. That's the bottom line. So I want to throw this over to the dashing Richie Stoltz, and I know you were part of the 2019 team, so you can really relate to it. But how does that relate to you? What am I saying right now that you think applies to your life?
Well, championships aren't won on sunny days, and not just strictly talking about championships and not just strictly talking about sunny days, but using both of them as a metaphor for whatever you so please. Sunny day could just be, a great day that you had, but really the championships are won on those terrible days. It's, sometimes those days where, you just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Well, what do?
Yeah.
we just go ahead and do it. You got to get it done. You got to, it's like you said, championships aren't won on sunny days. Not every day is going to be perfect. You got to
Well, let's
push
go.
through.
We were talking about actually 2 or 3 people before the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them turned out to be a success story. One turned out to be not a success story, and one is to be determined. We're still talking about what direction that person's going to go. But I've had this happen, I mean, multiple times in my coaching career. A student come to me and say, boy, I coach, I don't know if I'm going to stay in school. I don't find my classes rewarding. Huh. I graduated college. I'm not, and I'm not dumb. And I value myself as being a very, you don't quit when you're tired, you quit when you're done kind of person. But I'm not going to lie to you or anybody else. I didn't find many of my classes to be rewarding. There's a couple classes I thought were interesting and intriguing, but like of the 4.5 years I was in college, I can't honestly say I'm like, wow, like I would like to do that again. College to me, and you can tell me if you think I'm crazy, it's something like 60% of all jobs require a college education, and 70 to 75% of all well-paying jobs require a college education. So like, if you're there, might as well finish. I'm just saying. I think that is again a metaphor for life. If that's and again, certain circumstances, I'm not cold-hearted, but if you have the means and the way and the intelligence, well then you know what, go for it. Right? I mean that's kind of where I sit with that. The players that play, I tell people when they come to play for me at Rutgers 2 very simple things. I have favorites, but I don't play favorites. That's one of my favorite lines that I use all the time. And the other thing is I talk about, I have 2 very simple stated goals when you come to play for us. 1, that we make it to a national championship, and 2, that you graduate. If I do those 2 things, everything else is gravy. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's my soapbox for today. So, tell me something, Richie, that you went through that you consider to be a storm, or you consider to be a hardship, whether it be a friend, a round of golf, a relationship, a job, that you said, you know what, boy, it really was crap when I was going through it, but like I'm stronger because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably come up with some
I know you got
golf story
or
something.
Enumerate, yeah.
What golf story do you want to hear?
How about this? How about this? Because I didn't mean to put you completely on the spot there.
No, good.
Like moving, so we're the oldest golf school in New Jersey, right? And I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, we had to move the golf academy, like just pretty much clearly out of the blue, and we moved from where we were to where we are now, and lots of people would look at that and say, hey, and I was probably there for a year before I brought you on board, but like, when you're starting from not ground zero, but when you're starting from here and you get knocked down to here, you could say, you know what, this is not worth it. I actually had an offer to coach somewhere else in the country at one of the power conferences, and the circumstances weren't that great. I had family issues and whatnot, so I said, I'm going to stay and rebuild our golf schools. And then about a year into it, you came in there, and let me tell you what, folks. I mean, we started, not at the bottom, but probably a solid 50% down over where we were before. And every year we've been back, right? We've grown every single year. Yeah. And that's, I take a great, deal of pride in that type of situation. So, like, what have you seen now, since you've been with us now for, what, 4 years maybe?
4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah. I mean,
know.
you see the growth in what we're doing,
Yeah.
and that was, and again, we're not completely out of the storm yet, because I never like settling. Settling to me, anybody can settle. Like complacency. Every time we get, and Richie probably laugh at me, but every time we get somewhere where things start going well, I want more. So, talk to me, Richie. What's your observations about growing this business in the past 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember when I started and I had 1 or 2 students a week, and it was just like, okay, is this? I can't wait to get to Tavistock later so I can make a couple dollars,
money,
because I've made $60 with the golf school this week. So it was just like starting with that, and then going into the next year and actually starting to keep a little record of things, and I'm like, oh, I'm starting to make a little bit more money, and then again and again and again. I'm like, wow,
You've gone up every year.
The growth is phenomenal. And like right now, we talked about it, how the past 2 months I've actually been slightly down.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of a half a golf thing, an economy thing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But where I have seen the biggest difference is our groups. So like all of our, like when we do the groups, and it's like the best price you can find anywhere golf wise around here.
Well, think about that, right?
Those groups are ginormous.
Yeah, so we had our groups between the ladies and the intros and all that kind of stuff. We're into the hundreds of students we had this spring for golf lessons, which is fantastic. And to your point, it's great. Actually, I love where you went with that, because I saw on, I think it was on the Golf Channel, that golf for the first time since COVID went down this past quarter. And that makes sense. I mean, when an economy starts to struggle, that's a whole other story in and of itself. I don't understand Bidenomics. I don't, because I don't
know.
I know.
You understand?
I don't know. When French fries are $5 and the guy's telling you on TV how great the economy is, I don't get it. But anyway.
I was real quick.
Yeah.
This cost me $5 today. I did not think a coffee would cost me $5. And not only that, I got no ice so I can get a little extra coffee, and now they charge me for no ice.
Do they really?
They charge me 75 cents for no ice. Look, it doesn't say it on there. It's on the receipt in my bag.
Really?
I was mind blown. I felt like saying, never mind, put some ice in it. Like, what?
Wow.
And I understand why, but like they've never charged for no ice before. And now they throw an extra 75 cents on there.
But that's that. Yeah.
Ugh.
So Cooper, my actually, shout out to my son. They won the first round of the states yesterday. They're rocking. I mean, they're ranked. Yeah, my son's high school baseball team, Cherry Hill West. I think they're ranked in the top 5 in the state right now.
Go good.
Yeah, they're rocking and rolling. But he came home, and he's your typical 18-year-old teen. He doesn't pay any attention to politics at all or anything like that. And he comes home, and he said, "Dad," he says, "I just went to Chipotle," which I call Chipotle, but it's Chipotle. And he said, "I just got a burrito, some chips, and a Coke." He said, "It was over $20." And he said, "Is that Bidenomics?" I said, "Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, son. Because inflation is just cray. But anyway, with that said, let's get off of politics. I don't want to piss anybody off, but I just don't like paying my daughter's strawberry dragon fruit refreshers $5. Like, that's crazy.
I'll tell you this: I was at a church thing last night, and the one guy whose house we were at asked another guy. He's like, "Who do you vote for?" And the guy just kind of like froze for a second. He was like almost like nervous to answer the question.
Yeah.
And then finally he like answered like very. You can tell he was like nervous to answer the question.
Yeah.
And then he was already on his way out, so he left. And then the guy looked at me. He goes, "Why are people so? It's just a simple question."
Yeah.
And
no, we're that way too, though, right? Like, we don't like to talk about politics. And Dr. Batista was on our show, Waleska, and we vary slightly differently in political views, but like, we both value ourselves as two people who you can talk, rationally about things. Like, neither one of us, like, I think in certain areas I feel a certain way, in certain areas I don't. Like, I think truly I'm one of those people that, like, I can see both sides. I really can. But I just don't like the somebody peeing on my leg and telling me it's raining. Like, I just don't like that. Like, that's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway. Yes. With all that said, golf, like, it went down this quarter, and the private lesson number is slightly less than it was last year, although the group lesson number is up. And when we had that conversation at the table the other day, like, well, Coach, don't worry, the group lessons are up. The private lessons are slightly down. I said, that's an economic indicator. When your most economical program numbers go up and the private lessons go down, that means people have less discretionary income.
Yeah.
So with that said, the consensus around the table was, well, that's what's happening to everybody. And I turned to you and I said, oh, that's BS. There is a reason we've been in business for 44 years. It's because, you know what, we're not everybody else. Like, I'm going to take this opportunity to grow the business even more. Like, where people, they'll settle for, well, that's the trend and that's the way things are going. No. What can we do? Don't tell me I can't do something. You know that. Yeah. What do I have to do something? And I probably said that 2 or 3 times in the 26 episodes, but that's where we're at. So this could be the new storm that we're in.
Yeah.
The new storm that we're in is, how do we, grow a discretionary income business in an economy that's sputtering a little bit. Yeah. So that's my thought on it anyway. So,
hey, I mean, that's when championships are won.
Exactly. Championships are not won on sunny days. Okay. So I guess let's summarize, shall we? Okay.
Bidenomics.
I'm not Biden. We're trying to stay off the Bidenomics topic, right?
Kidding.
Yes, I know. No, that at some point, stop trying to look for the good in people, and just find good people. 2, championships are not won on sunny days. I mean, if you want to be successful in this world, then you got to fight through it. And 3, if you can get through something and learn from it, again, right? We either win or we learn. We don't lose. If you can put those 3 things into your life, you're going to be much better off for it. Trust me. Yeah, that's 2 men's opinion anyway, right? Yeah, there we go.
What do we know?
Yeah, and then shout out to Shawnee Hughes and to Zach Arsenault, by the way. They made it to the finals of the Gap Mid-Am. I know they didn't play as well as they wanted to in the final round, but I think Zach had a top 20, and Sean was winning after the first round. So I think we're gonna actually have Sean as a guest in the next couple of weeks.
Good.
We're gonna have Sean as a guest, and then
I love Hughes. I got a great story about Hughes.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, me too. Actually, I do too, man. Yeah. So, yeah, Shawnee, if you're watching this, if you watch it all the way to the end, we're coming for you. All right. Well, that's I'm your host, Bob Cardia, and to my left, your far right,
the dashing Richie Stoltz.
The dashing Richie Stoltz. Okay, folks, remember, championships aren't won on sunny days, and subscribe.
Glass of bourbon, ha. My bourbon, ha. My bourbon, ha. Alcohol. Because no great story ever started with, I'll have a salad.